Today, we're tackling steak. We're gonna pull out all the stops and do my favorite steak of all time, steak au poivre. Au poivre basically just means peppered, so what we will do is take some prime fillets and crust them with 16 mesh black pepper in order to achieve that perfect peppered crust. But before that, we're gonna dry brine the steaks with kosher salt and keep them in the fridge overnight so that salt really has a chance to penetrate to the center of the meat. After that, we're gonna vac seal them and throw them in a sous vide water bath at 129 degrees in order to achieve that perfect medium rare. There is no other option. After that, we're gonna take them out and sear them off in our specialty herb infused ghee from a previous video. Click on this link to check out that video next. After that, we'll take our steaks off and make our classic au poivre pan sauce in order to finish off this meal perfectly. Let's get after it.
First, we begin the night before with a couple of prime fillets. I just got these from my local grocery. They're easy to find. Let's season these up with Morton's coarse kosher salt. Make sure to get all the sides. And set them on a wire rack in the fridge to dry brine overnight. This will get that salt to the middle of the steaks as well as form a dry pellicle outside, which will enhance our crust. The next day, we take them out of the fridge. Look how deep that red color is. Let's get our sous vide ready. We got to get a water bath going. Just fill up a pot with tap water and put our sous vide in and set it to 129 degrees. We'll get our steaks vac sealed. We'll throw our vac-sealed steaks in a sous vide water bath at 129 degrees for 3 hours. This will get us a good medium rare, which is my preference.
Time for the classic sous vide conversation. Is it necessary? No. Does it make an expensive steak absolutely foolproof so that you don't ruin it by overcooking it every single time? Yes. You see, when you just simply sear a steak, you end up with your preferred level of doneness right in the center of the steak, but then as you go out toward the edges, it's progressively more and more well done. What we have here is a water bath and an immersion circulator, which will allow us to dial in the perfect temperature and keep it there literally for as long as we want it to. So what we'll end up with is a perfectly seared steak on the outside, but perfectly pink from edge to edge.
It's been cooking in the sous vide for 3 hours now, and I like to toss it in some ice water to rapidly chill. We'll keep it in here for 20 to 30 minutes or so. This step will improve the tenderness of the meat, plus help us not to further cook the inside of the steak while we sear it. Now that we've rapidly chilled our steaks, it's now time to season with pepper. We're just going to use some 16 mesh black pepper and make sure we completely coat the outside. Push the kernels in like I'm doing here. Let's fire up the stovetop. I've got a nice stainless steel pan, lots of mass, lots of heat retention and transfer. Let's get it to high heat and throw in some herb infused ghee.
Alright guys, I've got this herb infused ghee I made. It's basically homemade ghee, but it's been infused with rosemary, thyme, sage, Italian parsley, and garlic. Check out that video next where I detail making this ghee from scratch.
Add the ghee into the pan. Once the ghee is starting to smoke, go ahead and throw your steak on. It'll immediately want to stick, and that's okay. Just let it sear up and it'll release off the pan when ready. Once seared on one side, flip it over and get the other side. Once that's done, throw it on a plate to rest. You're going to be building up a nice fond of cooked seasonings and steak bits on the bottom of the pan, building blocks of flavor for our pan sauce. Mince some shallots really fine. Add these to the pan along with a pinch of salt. Let them cook for a few minutes until softened. Go ahead and deglaze with a nice pour of cognac and clean off the bottom with a wooden spoon or spatula. Let it simmer to burn off a bit of the alcohol. Next, throw in some heavy cream and mix that all in. Let it simmer until you can draw a line through it and the sauce coats the back of a spoon. Remove the pan from the heat and throw in a couple pads of cold butter and mix constantly until this is well incorporated. Adjust seasoning to taste. You may need to add more salt at this point to your liking. Slice up your steak. You can really see how the sous vide gives us that perfect edge-to-edge medium rare. I like to throw some of the sauce down on the bottom of the plate, followed by the sliced steak, and then more of the sauce on top, and dig in.
And that is how we make steak au poivre at fire and ferment. If you like this type of content, you want to see more of it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click on that little bell icon so you don't miss any new content. I love you guys, and stick around.